Looking for a fun way to win up to 25 times your money this football season? Test your skills on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projection for a wide variety of statistics, and place your entry. It's as easy as that. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. Easy gameplay, quick withdrawals, and an enormous selection of players and stat options are what make Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Ready to test your skills? Join the Prize Picks community of more than 7 million football fans who have already signed up. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/get100 and use code GET100. That's code GET100 at prizepicks.com/get100 for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy.
You are listening to the Hiking Radio Network, where we talk the walk with shows by hikers, about hikers, for everybody.
I'm wondering if you'd go wandering with me through the wilderness and woods, where the winds are blowing free, through the darkness of the night.
Welcome to the Jester Section Hiker Podcast, where we talk about the continual pursuit of the section hiker.
And I'll spread the word, and you beat the drum. We'll round up the troops and get the gang to come, and we'll leave the streets and these neighborhoods, head over the river and through the woods.
Happy New Year, everybody, and welcome to 2020. I'm your host, Julie Jester Gayhart, and this is the podcast where we talk about the continual pursuit of the section hiker and what it takes to complete a trail section by section. I just want to take a moment to thank all of you for listening to the podcast. I am excited for all of our section hiking we will talk about in the coming year. For the month of January, I wanted to have a couple of what I call Jester mini episodes. These episodes will feature entrepreneurs inspired by the trail. I hope you like who we have lined up for our 2 January episodes. On our first January Jester mini episode, we feature entrepreneur Phillip Ouellette, owner of the business called Trailsigns. Trailsigns makes handcrafted, authentic hiking trail replica signs. Phillip, aka Honky, thru-hiked the Appalachian Trail southbound in 2013 and actually finished the trail in 2 separate sections, but in 1 calendar year. I am personally obsessed with signs on hiking trails and have personally purchased 2 handcrafted Appalachian Trail signs from Phillip and love, love, love them. I have put pictures of those signs in our show notes. Phillip is going to talk to us how after his 2013 thru-hike, he wanted to incorporate his craft and his love of the Appalachian Trail into a business, so he did. Welcome to our special Jester mini segment, Phillip.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Not a problem. Thanks for taking time out of your day, and we'll go ahead and get started. So just so the listeners know, after you completed your southbound Appalachian Trail hike, you were thinking about how you could incorporate your craft into your love for the Appalachian Trail and came up with Trailsigns.
Yeah.
Talk to the listeners how that process happened and how you got started making signs.
Yeah, so I worked at a commercial sign shop before I went onto the Appalachian Trail. We say Appalachian up here.
I'm sorry. I'm south of the Mason-Dixon line. I'm sorry.
I know. It's a thing. It's a thing. So yeah, when before I went to hike the trail, I worked at a commercial sign shop, and actually had a friend who wanted me to create a replica of a hut sign, one of the AMC huts in the White Mountains.
Right.
And so he wanted to give it to his father for a Christmas present, and he said, "Can you think you could do this?" And I had this old crate laying around, and I took it apart and put it together in a panel and made it, and it looked great. He loved it. So that was really the only one that I made, I think, before I went to hike. But, I knew that it was going to be something that people would like, something that they would really respond to. And when I was on the trail, I started to, the trails signs on the trail have a lot of like emotional power, a lot of connection. I felt,
yes, they do. And every time I look at the one you made for me, it takes me to a certain place.
Right. It's a very personal sort of thing. When my friend gave him his father that present, like his father cried, because it was because they went to this hut when they were kids, and so people have a really a deep emotional connection to these places, and so I take it very seriously, because it is something that's very important to people.
Right.
When I was on the trail and like you get to that shelter or you get to that summit or you get to that town, like those are things I waited for months to see certain signs,
right.
And you walk and you walk and you walk and you're like, I can't wait till I get to see that sign that says welcome to Damascus or whatever. And so I think that's when I realized the power that the signs had, I definitely knew I wanted to make them and have something that people could buy and have in their home and give as gifts, And
nice.
So when I came back from the trail, I started up the Etsy shop, and it was slow to grow, but I've been pretty busy with it since I started it up, 5 years ago or whatever it's been now.
And now basically you have, we talked about this during our initial chat, you have like a commercial side of the business, and then you have trail signs. Yeah. So before you left for your hike, you were actually a commercial sign builder.
Yeah.
And right now, I think you told me it's about 50-50.
Yeah.
So talk to us about the commercial side of the business and some cool things that you've done for your commercial clients.
Yeah. I mean, I do work for people all over the Boston area. There's just like a lot of small businesses that are opening up right now. I've been working with a lot of small women-owned businesses for some reason. It's just like a real resurgence of that right now.
Right.
I don't even know why, but it seems like everybody I work with are young women who are opening these businesses, and it's great.
And that's cool to hear. That's really cool to
it's
hear.
really cool. And I like working with these startups and these people who are they got a great idea and they're going for it, So I like to be able to help these people that if they go to a big sign company, it's probably going to be, it might be too expensive for them, or it might be not what they want. So I try to work with people and help them, get their businesses going. And that's really personally satisfying too.
Nice. I really like that. That is just so cool. And a lot of people as well that are out on the trail. I just remember taking so many pictures of signs and not really knowing what I was going to do with the picture, but you can have a replica sign made. You can, dream about your next thing that you want to do.
For sure.
And leading into that, I really love this next part that I'm going to ask you. Talk to us about how you specialize your trail signs.
You mean like custom work for people?
Yeah, like the materials you use, like your distressing methods. Mm-hmm. I think you talked about you like to get stuff from old barns and things like that.
I get, I go on Craigslist every so often and just try to find people throwing away lumber or getting rid of old wood. And it's actually kind of a hot commodity. Like reclaimed wood is sort of like a big deal now for interior design and stuff. So it's actually sometimes if people really know what they have, they can sell it for a lot of money. I find that up in Vermont and New Hampshire, there's more people who like kind of live in the country and have stuff in their backyards or stuff from an old covered bridge or an old whatever that they've torn down, and they're usually willing to let it go for a little less. But I've been in northern Vermont in the middle of winter, taking wood out of some guy's shed out from under 4 feet of snow, because it's just, that's where it is, and he wants to get rid of it, and I want to use it for making trail signs. But the more sort of, aging and wear that the wood has, I think the better the end product, because you have that nice patina and you got some, it makes it look like it's been on the trail when you use it to create the piece. Yeah, and
it's good for the listeners to know that you're not just running over to Home Depot or Lowe's and picking up some wood and trying to, replica like an outdoor look or something like that. Like you're spending a lot of time trying to find these weathered wood pieces and like weathered pieces of metal so you can replicate the metal signs as well, right?
Yeah, I try to. I think it just makes for a way better looking final product. And you have that real, you can't, I have some distressing methods that I use and some stains and stuff that I use to enhance it, but you can't really take a new piece of wood and make it look old. I mean, you sort of can, but I don't think it's very convincing. So I just think it's a lot of fun to try to find old pieces, but it's problematic because a lot of times they're warped and twisted and nails in it or whatever. So it takes a little bit more work and a little more love, to try to get it to a place where it's can be a finished product. But I think it's worth it. I think it looks better.
And somebody that wants a sign that's made specifically of a picture they love or something. I mean, they are going to want that TLC, that tender love and care, put into that sign, which leads to you designed a really cool, like old school Springer Mountain sign for me from a picture.
Yeah.
And basically, I sent you the picture. And, you and I kind of worked through the measurements and just kind of walk through the listeners. If somebody sends you a picture, walk them through the process that you go through to try to replicate that sign.
Yeah, well, these are skills that I learned just from working in a commercial sign shop. It's like what my job was every day was to lay out in fonts and working things back and forth with customers until it's right. So I'm pretty good at that part. I'm pretty quick at it. And so, I basically will take the picture. If it's at a weird angle, I'll bring it into some software to straighten it out. And then, usually just like figure out, well, is this like a font? Is this just something somebody made with a router and like sketched it out? So you have to sort of try to figure out how the original was made before you make your, the replica, because I want it to look pretty, I want it to look real. I'll take it and I'll drop it in the computer and I'll lay it out, type the text over it and adjust it and make it look right, and then bounce it back over to the customer. And sometimes it get a little trickier when we're starting from like the ground up and we're making something totally new that's not a replica, because then there's more variables. But usually, if somebody sends me a picture of a sign that exists and say, can you make a copy of this, I can fairly quickly and not a lot of trouble.
And you did for me. I think it took, I don't know, it may have taken a month, but I think you and I went back and forth, and literally I sent you a picture. I don't know if it was Earl Schaefer standing at the trail sign originally or something like that. And so, and you did an excellent job.
I really
when
try
I got
to take my time with each one. I don't make a bunch at a time. I make everything, even the stuff that I have like in my shop that's like a stock item. I make at least the bigger wooden pieces. I make them as they come, because I'm always coming up with ways of making them look cooler and making them look more real and making them look better. And I really like to spend time with the piece before I ship it out, and make sure it's right. Like look at it from different angles and like let it sit there for a day and come back to it, because I think that's how you really make sure that it's right before it leaves the shop. And I want people to like really, when they open the box, I want them to be really like blown away kind of.
I agree, because it's something special that you're waiting on. Yeah. So right now in your Etsy shop, what would you say is your number one selling sign that you craft a lot?
Yeah, the Katahdin sign is a big one. I went back and looked, and I don't remember how many I said, but it wasn't as many as I thought, but it was still quite a few. It's 60 or 70.
Yeah, I think you told me close to 100.
It's not quite that much. It seems like that much because I make a lot of them, but it's probably because I make a full size one and then I make one that's a scale model that's a little smaller. That's just a little fits in people's homes a little bit better. So those I've made like maybe 70 something of those, and then the bigger ones. So maybe total, I don't know. Maybe it is close to 100, but it's
we're going to say 100. We'll go with that. Yeah, why not?
At this point. So I've done a lot of those, and I think it's just there's a lot of through hikers, and they want a memento.
And then what about your most interesting sign that you think you've crafted recently?
Yeah. So I think we briefly mentioned it, but I did a replica of the bronze plaque that's on Springer Mountain that's set into the rock there. And I always wanted to do it. And then a woman she's an interior designer, and she was basically decorating the guy's home. And he was like super into the Appalachian Trail. And he wanted this. He wanted a dead-on replica of that plaque. I'm like, wow, that's going to be tough, because that's like some serious craftsmanship that went into making that plaque,
Yeah, that's some serious work for those that have been down in Georgia and have seen that. That is, and I think we talked, there's 4 of those in the state of Georgia as you walk through.
And I did a little research, and I actually don't remember too much about it, but I think it was made in the 30s by like one of these craftsmen that were part of the WPA or something. I mean, they were like real craftsmen that make these things, and they're really, really cool. And so I did my best, and I actually made it out of a high density foam that's used in commercial sign making a lot.
Oh, but wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's really easy to carve. I mean, I imagine the actual one was, I don't know how it was made, but it was carved or created from clay or carved from something and then cast in bronze. But I don't have, a forge, so we had to basically I made it out of this foam that you can carve with chisels, you can carve with routers, and I used this various amount of different techniques to get the look that I wanted. And then the woman actually who I sold it to did a faux finish of bronze. It looks really, really good.
And that's on your Instagram, right? Yeah,
it's on Instagram. You might have to scroll down a little bit to see it.
Yeah.
And also if you go to springersigncraft.com, that'll take you to my portfolio page of my more commercial work. And actually that's on there too, just because I wanted to show it off. It's cool.
Well, of course.
Yeah. I put it as many platforms. But yeah, you could go to Instagram, just search for, Trailsigns, one word, on Instagram. You can do that on Facebook as well.
Nice. And then we've got several listeners that also are like PCT hikers, CDT hikers, hikers of trails all over the United States and the world for that matter. And I've seen on your Etsy several other trail signs as well. So pretty much you're not exclusive to the AT for those people out there. You'll make whatever people send, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm really, just because of my hiking that I've done, I'm really a little more tied into the northeastern hiking community of White Mountains and the Appalachian Trail. But I've over the years, like I think probably for the first year or two, like all I really made were things from around the White Mountains and around the Appalachian Trail. But as the years have gone on, I've gotten a little bit further west, and made things for Zion National Park and Bryce Canyon and the Grand Canyon, like a lot of those parks out there, and a lot of stuff from the PCT. So like I love making that stuff. It's great. The only problem is the shipping costs a lot more.
Well, that's true. But hey,
but other than
that just goes with it. Is what I think.
Yeah. So I love making stuff from out west, and I want to do it all. So basically anything, anybody from any part of the country has a trail they like or someplace they like, and they get a picture of it. Get in touch and send it to me. Yeah.
All right, Phillip. So basically, I want to get out there the best way for the listeners to reach out to you. So for your commercial stuff, is it springersigncraft.com?
Yeah, you got it.
And then for trail signs, I'll put it in the show notes. It would be your Etsy account.
Yeah, so it's Etsy, trailsigns.etsy.com.
Perfect. And then Instagram is @trailsigns.
@trailsigns, one word, yeah.
And then Facebook, I think, is Springer Sign Craft, correct?
I have a page for both. So my commercial work, I have a page for. But if you Google trail signs, one word, it'll get you somewhere that you can get in touch with me. But you can get in touch on Etsy. There's I don't even think you have to join Etsy or sign up or whatever. I think you can contact me just by going to the page. You can also send an email at Phillip, 2 L's, @springersigncraft.com, and you can get to that. That email address is on my springersigncraft.com page. So, there's a few different ways, but if you Google trail signs, one word, it'll get you to me.
Yeah, perfect. And if they can't figure any of that out, they can always email me, and my email's in the show notes, and I'll get them over to you. Phillip, I cannot thank you enough for being on our first January mini segment and our first guest for Entrepreneurs Inspired by the Trail. Thanks, Phillip. Really appreciate it.
It's an honor. I appreciate it. And it's my Etsy shop just hit our 1,000th sale.
Ooh.
So that's very exciting. So, come check us out.
All right. Thanks, Phillip.
All right. Thanks a lot.
All right.
Bye-bye. See ya. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to our first of 2 January Jester mini episodes. As you heard, Phillip has a passion for hiking and has incorporated his passion into his craft of making signs. Thanks again, Phillip, for being on the show.
I'm wondering if you'd go wandering with me through the wilderness and woods to where the winds are blowing free, through the darkness of the night, heading toward the morning light. I wonder if you'd wander with me, and I'll spread the word and you beat the drum. We'll round up the troops and get the gang to come, and we'll leave the streets and these neighborhoods, head over the river and through the woods. You're wondering if I go wandering with you, what kind of trouble we'll get ourselves into. Would it be wrong to tag along with a band of vagabonds? You wonder if I'd wander with you. So I'll spread the word and you beat the drum. We'll round up the troops and get the gang to come, and we'll leave the streets and these neighborhoods, head over the river. I'm wondering if you'd come wandering my way, if you ever get lost or if the trail leads you astray. The music of the pack can always bring you back. I wonder, can we wander away? And I'll spread the word and you beat the drum. We'll round up the troops and get the gang to come, and we'll leave the streets and these neighborhoods, head over the river and through the woods.
Looking for a fun way to win up to 25 times your money this basketball season? Test your skills on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projection for a wide variety of stats, and place your entry. It's as easy as that. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. Easy gameplay, quick withdrawals, and injury insurance on your picks are what make Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Ready to test your skills? Join the Prize Picks community of more than 7 million players who have already signed up. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/get100 and use code GET100. That's code GET100 at prizepicks.com/get100 for a first deposit matchup to $100. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy.